Welcome to another episode of Startup Health Now, the weekly show celebrating the healthcare transformers and changemakers reimagining healthcare. My name is Stephen Krein. On today's episode, we're sitting down with Dr. Thomas Graham, the Chief Innovation Officer of the Cleveland Clinic and the commercialization arm that's transforming healthcare, both at the clinic and around the world. This is going to be a great episode.
It is the duty of leaders to lead, of the creative to create, of the daring to do. The free world expects leadership of us. Its fate and our fate depends upon our leadership. We are industrious, inventive, restless, with the fires that burn within us. But I say that nothing is easy, and the best things are the hardest. And all our troubles, all our immense difficulties, now and in the future, can I say be solved if we have the will, the courage. The future is to those who take it.
Tom, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
You've got quite the gig here at the Cleveland Clinic. I'm in awe, quite frankly, as an entrepreneur. Over the last couple of years, we've had the privilege of working together, and you guys have rolled out the red carpet for our entrepreneurs. And it was clear from the very beginning, both Toby and yourself and everyone at the Cleveland Clinic gets the power of entrepreneurship and the power of external innovation on the internal progress. I want to take a step back before we dig in and get your own philosophy on innovation and what it means to you personally, but also what it means to you at the Cleveland Clinic.
I appreciate the opportunity to talk about it. It is my favorite subject. Innovation isn't just a kind of ethereal creative wind that blows through the corridors of your organization, or you can bring your dog to work or play Frisbee in the hallway. For us, it's a discipline. It's practiced. It's process-oriented, metrics-driven, and for us, it's always mission-aligned. So usually when I say innovation for the first time in a conversation or a lecture, it's preceded by mission-driven innovation, the power of innovation to improve and extend the life of human beings. And so we approach it as a core value. It's weaved into our fabric. It really is a privilege. As you said, I probably do have the best job in American healthcare, translating the innovation identity of Cleveland Clinic to the marketplace.
Why are you so passionate about it? You're a physician, and usually physicians aren't necessarily trained to be entrepreneurially minded. What kind of led you here?
Well, we're problem solvers, first and foremost, but I've walked a mile in the moccasins of the inventor entrepreneur. Really, the pioneering time in the mid-90s when we started to organize this function, I was just trying to cobble together enough funds to forward my own patent portfolio. And I knew that I wasn't the only one who probably had some creative solutions to the problems that we were seeing at the bedside. And it was kind of around my original intellectual property that we started to aggregate the necessary components: legal, engineering, prototyping, regulatory. That was at the foundation of what has become Cleveland Clinic Innovations. So I have experienced it from the standpoint of an innovator, inventor. I was fortunate enough then to take some of these ideas and start a couple companies. I've had some successes and frankly made enough mistakes that I'm probably a logical choice to have been the inaugural Chief Innovation Officer of Cleveland Clinic. We have such talented people, and here we are at the highest acuity hospital in the whole world, seeing the sickest patients. And so operating the virtuous cycle, being there right at the bedside or laboratory bedside and identifying the unmet need, it was only logical that we could protect intellectual property and develop it internally. It was just a better thing for our inventors, for the institution, and then frankly, as you know, I'm a big proponent of community economic development, and being the only Ohio-born officer of the Cleveland Clinic, I also wanted to grow jobs in Ohio, and keeping the great ideas and talent here is important for that.
So when you think about, and it's been how long since you started the innovation group?
Formally 15 years. We kind of were putting it together in really 20 years ago, almost to the year, but this is actually the 15th year from the formal launch of Cleveland Clinic Innovations.
So 15-year overnight success, right? When you think about some of the biggest obstacles you faced in actually getting to today, what were they?
Some of them are shared by all innovators. Innovation is a peripatetic, nonlinear, long to success, very arduous journey. And those who are not familiar with or tolerant of failure are not going to be in this game. See, fortunately, we're at an institution, and the individuals that comprise our leadership understand that. They're innovators themselves. Toby has dozens of patents. So you have to have that buy-in from the leadership. And then, frankly, you do need a champion who kind of beats that drum and rallies the troops around the idea. But you have to build an infrastructure from the ground up. You have to secure the resources. I think a big part of it is finding partners. Nobody can survive in an innovation ecosystem alone. And for us, it's the individuals and the institutions that are represented. But you have to find ways to optimize the relationships with industry, with the investment community. Frankly, we live in a very business-forward state. The state of Ohio is fantastic, and we are a significant life science grantee of a couple programs that have kept us going. And I actually like the new emerging interest the philanthropy community has in us. So I think that, innovation is not a snap. There is no, lightning strike that probably goes from the first napkin right to the marketplace with great success. So you got to be in it for the long haul, and all the people that are in your ecosystem have to really be putting their oars in the water to bring the kind of success that we've enjoyed.
So how much, you talked a lot about the internal innovators. How much of the innovation at Cleveland Clinic is started here versus how much is started elsewhere? And how are you blending internal versus external innovation?
Great question. There's both a direct or formal answer and indirect. So first of all, innovation happens best at the intersection of knowledge domains. So we recognize that completely. And appertaining thereto, 5 years ago, we started the Global Healthcare Innovation Alliance, first with other academic medical centers and research universities. But then we actually went kind of off the script and started to add kind of non-traditional partners from industry. So yes, we started with MedStar Health, the largest mid-Atlantic healthcare provider. We added Marshfield Clinic, St. Joe's in Southern California, and others, Notre Dame. But then we added Parker Hannifin, a $14 billion motion control giant. Why? Because they bring insight, new thinking, new material capabilities. And then we've added Lubrizol, which bolstered our capabilities in chemistry and polymers. NASA is a partner. Not because I'm interested as an orthopedic surgeon in the physiology of weightlessness, actually because who knows materials better, or fluid handling in harsh environments, or teamwork for that matter. Sure. You might have just heard we added Cox Enterprises. What a great partner, one of the most disciplined and successful companies with whom I have ever interacted. Why? We think healthcare is going to the home and the mobile device. Cox touches one of every 3 Americans every day. So you can't put blinders on. You can't be myopic in this business. You probably have a lock on your campus. Somebody else probably has the key. So if you're going to accelerate it in time, manage it in resource, and frankly, reach more people, look for partners. It's a non-competitive platform.
So how do you embrace, let's call it younger, smaller startups in that plan? I mean, obviously, everybody you just named are within their own right large organizations, very influential, but yet there are entrepreneurs and startups out there.
Fantastic idea. Well, I'm glad you reminded me of our business engineering function. Kind of a catchy name. We kind of like it. What it represents is we had a great appreciation that we didn't have a monopoly on all the great ideas. And many of the businesses at their very nascent or emerging stages were reaching out to us. They wanted insight. They wanted access to key opinion leaders. They wanted to know how to interact with a large academic medical center. And so we opened this function. Some of it is advisory, some of it is help with talent, some of it is help with capital identification. So, and frankly, what's good for us as an organic innovator who mostly takes our napkin ideas and moves them through, this was an opportunity to diversify our portfolio with a little bit of different maturities. So frankly, it's been something that has been a fascinating accelerator, because sometimes Company A and Company C are both struggling, but Company A plus Company C, maybe also with a little bit of our organic intellectual property, now that is a compelling story for the marketplace. So whether you are an entrepreneur that is coming to visit with us and learn about it, if you're an inside inventor, there's a nexus that we've kind of built an infrastructure to deliver. Right. And I think that, we're all about connectivity.
Is there a single shingle or email address or place for entrepreneurs to go so that there's a unified experience? I know I was talking to to Toby Cosgrove earlier about the fact that the Cleveland Clinic experience for patients is very well known. The Cleveland Clinic experience for entrepreneurs, is there a place for entrepreneurs to go? That
Yeah,
they
we
get
want our front door to be Cleveland Clinic Innovations, and maybe more specifically, if it's an emerging entrepreneur with an idea that emanated outside our walls or outside that alliance of which I spoke, that would be our business engineering function. But we also have very close relationships. There's a lot of community economic development groups, BioEnterprise, Jumpstart. Throughout the state, there's great ones, Rocket Ventures, Cincy Tech, Tech Columbus. So, we live in a very unique place. Ohio has the second most cities over 100,000 population, second to California. And, Cleveland, Columbus, Cincinnati are well known, but Dayton, Toledo, Akron, Youngstown. And we're geographically close, but we also have a cultural alignment. I call that propinquity. It's not just proximity.
TM.
There's a cultural alignment there. And so we actually have been spending a great deal of the last 4 or 5 months at the behest of the governor and the Board of Regents, looking around with our partners in Ohio, can we operate a best practice, best platform type of approach to innovation that brings in all the key academic partners? And that would be really groundbreaking. Frankly, we're looking to build a middle coast. We understand that there's a lot of talent and capability in Cambridge and Silicon Valley. And we come from a traditional industrial economy, but now we're a knowledge-based economy.
Yeah.
And healthcare is at the very centroid of that. And like I said, we could have a myopic institutional view. We've already pioneered the concept of collaboration over innovation through our global alliance. Now we're saying, can we do it in our state, in our region? And frankly, let's supersize it, because, again, the worst thing that can happen, if Dr. Jones is across the state and she has a fantastic idea, but does not have the infrastructure that we have and doesn't access it, and that idea is shoved in a desk drawer, thrown in the wastebasket, patient wouldn't be helped, inventor's not rewarded, institution isn't furthered, no jobs are created.
Right.
Whereas here we are with our flywheel spinning, and we're pretty good at intaking intellectual properties with all the the proprietary instruments we developed to do it, and the technology scoring capabilities, and also the relationships in the marketplace and with Wall Street and Main Street and Washington, D.C.
Sure.
Why not unite over creative thought?
So what's been the biggest influence, or who's been the biggest influence on you? And how do you, when you think about who inspired you or who influences you, who is that, or what is that?
It's almost difficult to name one. I'm very Newtonian about it. If I've seen far, it's because I've stood on the shoulders of giants throughout my career, and I mean that. Starting with my parents and all the way through the many mentors I enjoyed through my career as an orthopedic surgeon and now as an innovator. There's certainly people who I believe have a great balance in their life, and I think that's important for the innovator, especially one who wears another hat during the day an awful lot of times. But when it comes down to it, Toby Cosgrove is our innovator in chief. Not only did he have a distinguished career as a master surgeon, he's contributed so much of the popular thought that has been shaping the American healthcare landscape. And frankly, without his support, Cleveland Clinic Innovations doesn't perpetuate. And so I really, it's been a privilege for me to work with Toby over the last couple decades, but especially when I returned to the Cleveland Clinic. I had so much respect and affection for him all the way through his career. But the fact that we can work on this together is absolutely satisfying.
So outside, I don't blame him. I mean, I feel the same way. He has, I think, single-handedly, but it clearly with a great team, I think almost inspired others to start to think differently about innovation, to start to think differently about how to run a multi-billion-dollar organization of this size, and think almost as fresh about it as it's, the day it started back in 1921. So very inspiring. When you think about outside of healthcare, technologies or experiences that either inspire you or that you want to emulate, what comes to mind? Well,
you may know, I think that my practice has been dedicated to the care of professional athletes. So I've lived in the professional sports world for a couple decades now. I've been privileged to take care of over 2,000 professional athletes and been associated with organizations in all the major North American-based sports. I've learned a lot about championship organizations, how they're built, how they're sustained, how succession planning is important. And I think the one thing that resonates with me, just the concept that if you win together today, you walk together forever. There's a compelling reason to have everybody's oars in the water working toward similar goals at a particular time and space. Because if you can accomplish great things, and there's nothing more important than helping your fellow man, you are forever linked. So I will say I've been, really lucky to be able to blend those two lives. It's taught me a lot about management. You put somebody at shortstop because they have a particular set of skills, another person on the mound, another person behind the plate. Yeah, they may look different, they may wear a different glove, but at the end of the day, they wear the same uniform. And that's what's great about Cleveland Clinic. We're really the only iconic medical center that wears the name of our city on our jersey. And that's a really important motivator. Cleveland is indeed the home of entrepreneurs. Rockefeller was from here. And so I think it's just a critical time in healthcare. We are at an historic inflection point, and I am convinced that the margin of difference will be innovation, and it's going to be led by those people who have a legacy, as well as understand that it is both an opportunity and a responsibility.
I love it. I could talk to you for hours. I know you got to go. Thank you so much for
I'm
not only
honored.
spending
Thank you
today
so much.
with us, but thanks for rolling out the red carpet.
No, I'm
Every
humbled
time
that people would share their time with this, and this is a real great opportunity for me to share with the folks that you touch, and you have been such a great partner.
Fantastic. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks so
Thank
much.